Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast, brought to you by East Central Educational Service Center, located in Newcastle, Indiana. We proudly provide service support and collaboration to 14 counties and 39 member districts.
At ECESC, we believe that students' strengths and interests are a blueprint to forging a future of success and impact, and we are on a journey to provide support and collaboration to schools as they implement career-connected learning for all students.
As part of this mission, we are here today to celebrate the amazing educators who help the students of East Central Indiana dream big dreams and achieve more than they thought possible.
Their work inspires us each day, and we want to lift up their stories and the stories of the students they are impacting and serving. Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast. My name is Pat Haney, Director of East Central Educational Service Center in Newcastle, Indiana. And co-hosting with me today is Lindsay Lovern, Instructional Specialist and Grant Coordinator here at ECESC. Hi, Lindsay. How are you today?
Hey, Pat. I'm doing great.
Well, thank you for being here. And Lindsay and I are very excited to be joined by Jennifer McCashland from Liberty Elementary in Union County. Jennifer, welcome to the podcast and thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, we are thrilled that you are here. And I think Lindsay's going to kick us off with our first question as we launch into our conversation.
Yeah, we're so excited to be talking to more classroom teachers in our region. And you were nominated, so we're really excited to learn a little bit about you and your teaching in your classroom. So let's just start with that. Tell us what you teach and anything you want to share about your professional background. And then, of course, tell us your why. What brings you to the classroom every day?
Okay, so I am currently in a kindergarten classroom. This is year 2 for me in kindergarten, but it is the start of year 23 total. Before I came to kindergarten last year, I was in a first grade classroom for 20 years. And very early in my career, I taught 4th grade for 1 year. My heart is definitely in the K-1 primary area. Why? Gosh, I could probably sum it up without tears because it does make me emotional. It's the kids. It's always the kids. That's what it always comes back to. Kids first, always. And what we do matters. And anybody in a, especially primary, they're babies. And the growth that you see, it's hard, yes, but it's worth it. So that's my why.
Yeah, I love it. And I wonder, Jennifer, obviously you said 23 years in education, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have seen a lot of change in 23 years, and teaching is a profession that causes us to continually be growing and adapting. I'm curious if there's anything over the last 3 years or so that really kind of gives you hope for education in our state and just the way that your team at Liberty and in Union County are supporting students.
So yes, things change. We always talk about that pendulum, and it's in all aspects. It's in the curriculum. It's in, it's just everything. Everything's changing. We are constantly having to revamp what we do, learn new things, whether it's from trainings we go to, whether it's from colleagues, things like that. My biggest, I guess the biggest thing that gives me hope is that no matter what we are asked to do, everyone, and I'm sure it's the same in any classroom or school building that you go to, everybody here jumps in with 2 feet and they're ready. And whether it's easy, whether it's hard, everybody's willing to do it. There might be some growing pains along the way, but like I said at the start, at least here at Liberty, and that's not just in our building, it's in our whole corporation. It's kids first. So, I really think that makes a big difference, no matter what the buzzword is or the latest curriculum might be, or what's going on around us. It's kids first.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of what that might look like in your building? What does it mean for you and your team to put kids first?
Technology is probably one of the biggest changes I've noticed, and not probably COVID year is when that really took effect for us, because yes, kids are techie. I mean, my kids had iPads when they were younger and could probably navigate better than I could. But we threw these Chromebooks at kids, and we were all in a panic. How are we going to do this? And my goodness, they figured it out. I mean, I still have kindergartners who something will happen on the screen and they know what buttons to push to fix it. And I'm like, how do you know that? But we do, like, we all help each other too. Like if somebody's not sure how to do something, we're really able to find the expert in the building. Whether if I don't know how to help a kid, my next door neighbor knows how to help a kid, or the fifth grade teacher down the hall might have a resource that I don't have. And that's not just technology, that's for everything. If I have a kiddo who's reading well above grade level and I don't have the resources to meet their needs, I can go ask my second grade colleague and she's going to give me everything she has. And vice versa. Upper grades might come down and see us and say, hey, how can I help this kid who's struggling? You're the expert in this area. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
Well, Jennifer, I had a chance to visit Liberty last spring, and definitely when you're talking about that culture of just everyone jumping in, like it was just even being there a short time, it was just so evident. Just the culture and the collaboration and the support of that community. But I know we were talking before we started recording that your connection to Union County and the schools is actually goes back further than just those 23 years that we were talking about. Correct?
Yeah. Yes. So, my dad went to school here from kindergarten through 12th grade. My siblings all did. I did not. I actually graduated from high school in Groton, Connecticut. My father joined the Navy after he graduated, and I spent the first 18 years of my life on the East Coast. But anyways, he retired. We came home. My first job, I taught for 20 years in the classroom that my husband was in kindergarten in. So my husband all of us, there's generations. So
that's so cool. All right, Jennifer. So obviously you already told us about, students first and how exciting it is to see those youngest ones grow. What would you say is your definition of student success? Can you dig into that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, I might be a minority with this thought, but how you do on an assignment now. Kindergarten assignments obviously don't look like other grade levels. I don't care so much about how you necessarily perform. My goal, success is just how they feel about themselves. You can tell when they're struggling. It's kind of like that aha moment when they finally figure it out and they're confident. They're not nervous about something. When they feel like this is a safe place where they can make mistakes, because that's how we learn. I don't expect perfection. We say my kindergartners, they'll tell you, we say practice makes progress. We don't talk about perfection. And then what you can't see above my desk here facing the kids in big block letters is we can do hard things. If they understand those things, to me, like, that's what's going to make them successful. I don't necessarily focus on, did they get an A on this? Have they mastered this skill or that skill? So
yeah. Do you have
those things are important, but
Of course. But I think what you're getting at too is, you're setting them up for their attitude towards school for the rest of their life. And
yes.
So to be able to start that with the growth mindset and focus more on the process than a particular achievement and outcome, I think that's something that your colleagues who have them in the future will thank you for. Do you have any specific examples of things that you've seen happen in recent years with any of your students that'd be something that's an example of that you would want to celebrate?
So that's the other nice thing about teaching in such a small community is we do see our former students out and about. I have 4 children of my own. 2 are in college, but I have a 7th grader and a junior that are in our building. And so their classmates are also former students. So you run into them here and there, this sporting event, that sporting event. And to see them, especially the ones who were super quiet and super shy, might have cried a lot, the first several weeks of school, who have just blossomed into individuals who are kind and brave, and they are putting themselves out there. And it's just neat to see, because, when they're little, you just we just spend a teeny tiny, kindergarten is a tiny glimpse of their school career. So that's really neat, just in general, to be able to see those kids grow and who they become.
Yeah, I love it. Jennifer, I wonder if you could talk a little bit more just about some classroom practices that are really core to who you are as a teacher, and really, you talked about preparing students to learn that they can do hard things and that practice makes progress. So how do you set up your classroom environment and what practices do you use to really help to help students develop that level of confidence and perseverance?
So my biggest thing, whenever I have a student teacher, this is what I try to show them, that to me what's worked, and it might not work for everybody, but consistency is my biggest thing with routines, expectations. And I always tell parents too, like, your children can do way more than you think that they can. Like, I mean, if you expect, now they're not going to hit the mark every single time, but if you, like at our parent meeting, I might, years ago, I used to say, if you ask your child or you expect them to make their bed every morning and you are consistent with that, they'll eventually get there. Now, do my own children make their beds every morning? Probably not. But that's my big thing: consistency, follow through, and just making sure that they are comfortable in this space. That's probably one of the biggest things. If they're comfortable here, they're going to listen, they're going to learn, they're going to, respect you. That doesn't go without challenges, but.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Okay, we're going to give you the chance to brag on yourself a little bit, which not everybody likes to do. That can be hard, but we know that every teacher brings their own skill set to the table, and that each classroom ends up having kind of a unique flavor to it because of who the individual is that's working with their students, and everybody's just a little bit different. So thinking about yourself, what is that for you? What would you say is your teaching superpower? What can you bring to the table that maybe not everybody has?
I try to remember that these kiddos are somebody's baby. I like to treat them like I do my own. Now, that's not necessarily a superpower. I love to sing, so you'll oftentimes see us singing and dancing in here a lot. Not necessarily superpower. I can't tell you that I'm very good. I did have a kindergartner once ask me if I'd stop singing. I did not stop singing. We kept going.
Kindergartners are incredibly honest, are they not?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have a blurb on my newsletter that goes home every Friday, and it's usually a funny. So like the funny of the week. So, and they're hilarious. They keep you on your toes.
Well, Jennifer, I'm gonna make a little bit of an inference here, and I would say one of your superpowers is bringing joy into the classroom. I mean, just hearing you talk about your students, your classroom, your community, there's a sense of joy that just that comes through in that, and I'm sure that that really shows up in your classroom every day. One of my favorite quotes is learning is amplified in the presence of joy. And so it sounds like it sounds like that you really strive to make your classroom a joyful place.
Thank you. I do. I try.
All right. Well, so let's broaden it out. And talk, we hear a lot of things about schools and education in the news, and it's not always positive, but you're there every day doing the work. Sometimes obviously we're recording this in August, but August is a busy month in schools. And so you're there every day with kids and with other teachers. What is something that you wish everyone knew about teachers and would remember, even in the face of, all of the information that we hear that may not always be as positive?
I wish that people knew how much sleep teachers lose over your children. Again, not to get emotional, but we carry a lot of what happens in the classroom home with us. Their celebrations we're happy for, their times of sadness, we're sad for them in those instances too. Teaching is it can be an emotional heavy job, and it can weigh on you, but everybody walks through that door with a smile on their face the next morning, no matter how difficult it might be. You're hard pressed here at Liberty Elementary School and the other buildings in our corporation to not find vehicles here on Saturday and Sunday as well, with teachers inside prepping for the week on their own time. So, we're human. We make mistakes. Those seem to be what people remember a little bit more than the good things, but hopefully they can respond with some grace maybe when we do make mistakes, because we all make mistakes. I tell that to my students all the time. I'm not perfect. And mine's, if I'm writing something or teaching in the middle lesson and I say the wrong word, and I admit that I make a mistake, and they love it because they giggle and think it's funny. So, but
yeah, that answer has been really consistent with the teachers that we've interviewed. So many have said, wish the world just knew how much teachers care. Because I think, for me, having been in the space, I see the evidence of that. But I think to maybe the outside world, a lot of that's kind of invisible. They don't see the cars that are there on Saturday, or all of the pep talks that are happening in the classroom, all of those little things that, and then they definitely don't see what you were talking about as far as the internal weight of the job. And you said multiple times just today that they're each somebody's baby, but it sounds like they kind of become your babies too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're 5. They're the cutest little things, and my babies aren't babies anymore. So I get so much joy from them. You talked about joy. It's contagious. I mean, I love it. Kindergarten's where it's at.
Love it. All right. We've got one more question, and it's what we ask every time on the podcast. And it's, what are you recommending right now? So tell us something you're excited to share with your friends. Oh, you're ready.
So this is, I am ready. See all these big red posters behind me?
Yes.
So Erin Hensley, who is a kindergarten colleague and friend of mine, who's taught kindergarten forever, introduced me to what's called Secret Stories. And it's a whole brain, research-based, multi-sensory, all these big buzzwords, phonics program. When I say program, you don't have to, it pairs well with what we're already doing. But what it is, it's these cute little characters and stories that help kids learn all these phonics patterns that they're all rule breakers. They're all confusing. It has completely changed the way not the way I teach, but it has completely changed the progress that the kids make. It has rocked their world. I mean, I have kids that can tell you, they look for secrets all the time, and they have fun little songs and easy stories to remember, because kids remember stories. They don't remember rules. They remember stories. It's awesome. So Secret Stories, look it up. I'd recommend it for K1, 2. You could use it in the upper grades for your struggling kiddos instead of just rote memorization of those skills. It's awesome.
Okay. So for those phonics patterns, there's a story
for every single one.
Okay.
Yep. So for instance, today we learned SH. And so S and H love to read. So they're in the library all the time. But they're a little silly and they're playing around, and the librarian has to come over when they're together and says, shh. And I'm telling you, they beg to learn more stories. I mean, they want, what story are we learning today? So, and you just kind of pull them in when you see them, when they come up in your morning board and story you're reading. I mean, I had a kid today that said, "Hey, there's a story in my name." And yep, there was.
Oh, that is so cool.
It's amazing.
I love that. So, I personally have a first grader at home, so all that kind of stuff. I am like, watching a kid learn to read is just so special and so fun. We're in the like reading random signs from the backseat stage, and Mom, why does it say that? What's that mean? Why does it have that? And it's just like, oh my gosh, you're like starting to unlock it.
First grade is an amazing year of growth. Big year.
Wonderful. Well, Jennifer, thank you for your work in Union County and at Liberty Elementary. We are so grateful for all of our teachers, not only in our region but across our state, and we just want to continue to celebrate teaching and to celebrate the impact that you have. And so we wish you the very best school year with those amazing kindergartners, and thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Forge Your Future podcast. We hope that this glimpse into the bright future of East Central Indiana inspires you and brings you hope.
We have the privilege to work with these future makers every day and want to share their stories throughout Indiana and beyond.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share it with your circle, and let's keep the conversation going.
You can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on our website.
Until next time, remember that your strengths and interests are a blueprint to your future of success and impact.